Hi, I'm Suman Manaksya, a licensed success coach, public speaking mentor, and a personality development expert. And I'm excited to introduce this podcast, The Speaking Edge, a platform designed to help you find your voice and transform your personality. Through this podcast, we'll dive into the art of communication, the power of confidence, and the magic of personal transformation. Your voice matters, your story matters. It's time the world hears it. And today, my guest is a dear friend and has many feathers in his cap, Lokesh Nathany. He's a motivational speaker, a sales trainer, a storytelling coach, and a TEDx speaker as well. He left his 25 years of corporate life to pursue his passion of storytelling. Lokesh strongly believes that stories can influence, and if they can influence, they can bring a positive change, helping people achieve a happy, healthy, and wealthy life. For his work on storytelling, Lokesh was awarded by the Honorable President of India, Srimati Draupadi Murmu. He has helped over 200 people carve their stories and perform on various platforms. One of the talk shows curated by Lokesh had crossed 4.5 million views. So, friends, join me in welcoming Lokesh on the Speaking Edge. Thank you, Lokesh, for being here. I'm elated to have you on the show.
So it's so great to be here, Suman. Thanks so much for giving me this honor and inviting me for your first podcast. I remember when you first called me up and said, Lokesh, let's do this podcast. And I was a little nervous because I've never done a podcast before. And I was like, okay, let's give it a shot. As I was coming here to the venue for the shoot, and I asked myself, what am I going for? And suddenly my mind said, all you're doing is going to have a conversation with somebody who's a very dear friend and on a topic that you love, which is public speaking and storytelling. Now, the moment I told this to my mind, I became very, very comfortable, and suddenly my nervousness disappeared. So I realized that sometimes it's very important to tell us the right things so that our mind can settle down and, give our 100%. So thank you so much once again. And thank you all you viewers who are going to watch us on this wonderful topic. Now, coming to my journey, transition from a corporate life to being a professional speaker today. Uh, if I look back, my life. If I look back, I started my corporate career and I was heading business and sales. Now, my role was basically to motivate my team, make a lot of investor presentations, even do a weekly show on TV, write for newspapers and magazines, present to the board, and so on and so forth. So somewhere, indirectly, I was already doing public speaking in some form or the other. So I thought it came very, very naturally to me. And during my conversations, whether it's with a team or investors, I was always using stories. I never believed in just, giving a plain communication. So I always use stories to convey my point. So when I decided to jump out, I thought this is the only thing that I can actually do it. And I felt that it's going to be very, very simple and easy. And let me tell you that it was simple also, it was easy, but it was difficult as well. Now, why I'm saying both the things? So it was easy because public speaking was never a challenge for me. I've already been doing that for 25 years. And when I started to reach out to people, I was not getting any work. Suddenly, I realized that when I was working for a company, I had a visiting card, I had a designation which had a lot of power in it. And now here I am starting from scratch, zero, with no experience of so called professional speaking. And family also did not encourage me. My friends, family, they all discouraged me, saying that go back to a job, you can't take such chances. And anyway, I was very, very determined that this is what I want to do. For 3 years, I did almost about 75 to 100 talks.
It's a long time.
But the bad news is that I was not paid for any of the talks. So for 3 years, I lived on my savings. Then a time came, I had zero money in my bank account. Life was really looking very blank and difficult. It was during COVID times that I took a call saying that I'm not going to do any more free talks. If people pay me, great. Otherwise, I'll sit at home and relax. And I think that's one decision during COVID time changed things for me. Because it's been more than 3 years now and things are only looking up.
Yes.
And I have not done anything which is without without a fees. And what I learned is that you will get paid only when you ask for it. If you don't ask for it, people assume that you are okay with it.
Obviously.
So that has been my transition. And what has helped me is, a lot of reading. I used to read a lot of books. I used to be aware about what's happening around. And of course, my ability to, integrate stories with my talks really helped me. So yes, it was a very challenging but very, very satisfying journey. When I look back today, and some of my old colleagues who are still in touch, they ask me, how does it feel? We are so happy and so jealous when we look at you in social media. I say, you know what? When I was in a corporate life, I used to earn here, and my happiness was here. Now it's exactly the opposite. So I trade off my passion, happiness to the money, and I'm very, very happy and excited about it.
That's an amazing journey. And I can't even believe, dropping out of such a corporate career and with such a handsome pay. What is that one thing, that one moment that made you just drop it all?
So, see, I was doing this for 25 years. My corporate life was more than 25 years. I started working when I was all of 16, full time job. And last corporate hat that I wore, I was, I think, 47, 48. That's like good 30 odd years I was working. And a time comes when your body tells you, your heart tells you that this is not what you want to do. You've already done it, been there, same thing every day, day in and day out. And my knowledge was also very, very limited to my field.
Yes.
So I think a day came, very impulsive decision. I must say this. I did not even tell people at home that I'm quitting my job. I just came home and I said, listen, you know what? I'm done with my corporate life. And there was no inspiration, honestly speaking. I think I was just tired, and I wanted to rediscover myself. And that's what you can say inspired me to move out of my corporate life and jumped into professional speaking. And why professional speaking? Because I thought this is the only thing that I can do. It doesn't need any qualifications. I always loved talking and interacting with people. And I thought if I can transfer this into a professional way of speaking, hopefully I'll make some difference in people's life. And yeah, that's about it.
So I am one of them, and I think there are many people who would want to thank you for doing this, taking this decision, because you are doing splendid work. And you have inspired me. I'm sure you're inspiring many other speakers as well. So you mentioned you were reading some books. So books on what?
So I have read all kind of books. So I haven't read fiction for last about 25 years. Very recently I read one fiction because a friend of mine authored it. Otherwise, last 25 years, I have read about people. I have read about businesses. I have read about what takes it for people to go from here to here, how they have handled failures and success, etc., etc. So that has been the genre that I have been reading. I've also read at least about 10 books, which is about storytelling, which is about how do you give a wow talk. And one of my most favorite book, and I'll suggest everybody who is an aspiring speaker, you must read this book. And the book is called TED Talks by Chris Anderson. I think it's, for me, it's a Bible of public speaking.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of things that I practice today are things that I've learned from that book. I've read that book at least 3 times because every time I read the book, I get new learnings from the same book. So that is one book that I'll highly recommend for people to read.
You had given me that book, and I read that, and you will not believe I'm a public speaking coach today, and it has shaped my career as well. So everybody, all the viewers, I'm sure everybody should get a hand on those that book
Absolutely.
and read it.
Absolutely.
Okay, Lokesh, let's proceed with the, with your life. So tell me, do you think storytelling is a very important factor even in public speaking?
Great. So, to put things straight in perspective, story is a very, very important part of public speaking. But does a good story make it a good public speaking or a good talk? Probably no. Because story is only one part of the talk. There are
Yeah.
multiple elements. So let's look at a film like Chak De. Great story, very inspiring film.
Yeah.
But if the elements in that film were missing, probably that movie would not have been hit or we would not have liked it so much. So story is very, very important, but there are other elements that are also very, very important. Now, when you look at public speaking, there can be two kind of opportunities that one gets. One is impromptu speaking, where somebody suddenly asks you, "Why don't you say something or share something?" Now, my personal belief is that if you are well read and if you are aware about what's happening around, chances are that you will be able to create an impact even in an impromptu talk of 2-3 minutes, right? Because nobody is putting a gun and saying speak right away. You get your 2-3 minutes to process your thoughts and then speak. The second is where you get time to prepare. Now, one of the reasons why people are not being able to deliver impactful talks is their work ethics. Most of us feel that, oh, I know this very well. बात ही तो करना मैं बात कर लूंगा. And I think this is where we all falter. I think it's very, very important. So when I get a call from somebody saying that we want you to come and speak, I always ask them 4 5 questions, because I need to know what is it all about. Because normally what people do is they go and speak what they know,
Yeah.
but that may not be what the client is expecting or the audience is expecting. So I'll ask a question: what are you looking for? And the normal answer that I get is just come and motivate our team. And motivation is such a wide,
Wide.
such a abstract thing. So I always dig deep. I'll help them find answers. What are your pain points? Is there a message that you want to give to your audience, or anything specific that you want? So over conversation, they come out with 2 3 pointers, and that's when I start writing my script. And when I write the script, I keep reading till I feel, yes, I think it's making a lot of sense. So that is one that people should do to make the talk impactful. If you don't write, because it's old school, use a Word document, but you must script your talk, not in your brain, only on a pen or paper, or on your
Okay.
laptop or a computer. Second is you need to watch a lot of videos. See, what are the reference points that we have? When we watch a lot of videos of other speakers, don't just watch for the lessons or for the inspiration. As a speaker, as an aspiring speaker, you should make notes. I used to make a lot of notes in terms of their body language, how they are speaking, how their voice is moving, and all that. And some of them will inspire you a lot. And if you get an opportunity to meet any of them, you should not miss it. So I still remember 2019, I was supposed to deliver my TED talk, first TED talk, and I was very, very nervous. And 20 days before the talk, there was an event happening in Jim Corbett. Now, I live in Hyderabad. The event was in Jim Corbett. One of the speaker there, the Deepak Ramola, the founder of Fuel, he was coming there as a speaker. And I'm a huge fan of Deepak. He's a very dear friend as well. But more importantly, I look up to him. I registered for that event. I traveled to make sure that I get some time with him. I spent 15 minutes with him one on one, sharing with him my fears about public speaking and the TED talk, especially. And those 15 minutes really shaped my TED talk that I delivered. So, second suggestion of mine is that watch a lot of videos and try and meet people, attend a lot of events, talk to people who've been there, done that. That will help you a lot in preparation. And third is that don't miss an opportunity. If you get an opportunity, just go for it. Just do it. So write your script, practice it, talk to people, watch videos, make notes. If you do all this, I think chances are that you will be able to deliver a good, nice wow talk.
Those are such helpful tips that you have given our audience. And one thing that I face with people when people come to me for public speaking is the fear. You know, I know that public speaking is the biggest fear in the world right now. So, what is that fear? So, how did you ever actually have that fear of speaking? But I think you mentioned that you did at one point of time.
So I'm glad you asked that question. So people say that after death, the second most fearful thing is public
It
speaking.
is.
And I want to tell your viewers that if you are scared, if you have stage fright, it means you are a normal human being.
Really?
A lot of people think that, oh my God, I'm abnormal, I have stage
Yeah.
fear, I have stage fright. No, you're absolutely normal. It's okay to have stage fright, because, and why does the stage fright comes? It comes because we have not been there, we have not done that
Yeah.
enough number of times to get comfortable, and we are worried about how people will judge us. Whether
Absolutely.
people will accept my talk, whether they'll accept my story, whether they'll accept me as a person on stage. So all these things frightens you big time. And I must share this, and people don't believe when I share this. So in my college days, right from my college days, just before my name was to be announced for any event, I used to run away.
Really?
And let me share with you one instance, and this will tell you how fearful I was. So I was working while I was studying in the college, and me and my junior colleague were asked to travel to three towns in West Bengal to market an IPO of a company. This is way back in 87, 88. And we went there, the stage was set. Being a senior colleague, I was supposed to make a presentation to 50 odd investors who were sitting in the room. Just before my turn came, I just chickened out. I told this colleague, listen, you want your job? You better go and do the presentation. I am not speaking. I was scared, I was shivering, and I'm like, I'm not doing this. And obviously, poor guy is a very dear friend even now, and he had no choice but to present. And post the presentation, when the time came for interaction, I was very comfortable. So I was like that. I have done many times where I've run away, where I've ran away from from the event because I have to speak. And here I am sitting with you doing a podcast on storytelling and public speaking. So obviously, life has come a long way. Now, what has helped me? I think that's important. I realized in corporate life, my boss told me, Lokesh, if you really want to grow, you'll have to get over this because leaders are supposed to be speaking in public. And I realized that, and I was very ambitious. I wanted to grow. So I realized that I have to get over this. Now, how did I get over this? I think the only way you can get over this is just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Just keep doing it. And one of the things that my boss taught me at that in those days was wherever you get an opportunity, whether it's office function, social gatherings, building society, people come and tell you, why don't you speak or say a few words? Normally our tendency is, no, no, let somebody else speak, uske baad main baat karunga. I started to grab that opportunity. I said, I will not bother about whether I'm speaking good, bad, whether people like it or not. Let me start speaking. And that is how the courage started to build. And my job demanded a lot of public speaking, right? So it started to help me, and I started to get better and better and better, even to the extent that I love singing, but I was very very scared to sing. And I remember once we went to Colombo for a sales meet, and middle of the night, almost 2 a.m. in the morning, and in the casino there was a band that was playing, and my boss said, come on, go and sing a song. And I was like, crazy, there's so many people here. But I remembered that don't miss this opportunity. Yeah. Time to be a hero now. And actually sang, and everybody clapped at 2 a.m. in the morning. And after that, I probably would have, I would have sung in at least about 10 countries. Wherever there was a live band, I said, I want to go and sing. So I think it's important to keep doing, keep doing. And chances are that you will get over it. So that's the first part of it. Second, it's very important that you need to work hard towards it, in the sense that if your content is not in context with where you are speaking, chances are that people will not like your talk. Yeah. But to get over this fear, I think the most important thing is that करते रहो करते रहो करते रहो, मत सोचो लोग क्या सोचेंगे. Because देखिए, आप एटलीस्ट खड़े होके बात कर रहे हैं. Others are not even doing that. Absolutely. So if you are getting an opportunity, grab the opportunity and become the hero for those 2 minutes. Who cares whether you are good or bad? And you look at any sports person, I always take a lot of inspiration from sports people. If you look at them, none of them were born Sachin Tendulkar or Virat Kohli, yeah. Right? I'm sure they were also very edgy in the early days of their career, and as they went on playing, they became what they became. So yeah, just grab the opportunity, speak, and a time will come and you'll start enjoying it, right? So I started enjoying it so much that when my company gave me an opportunity to go and speak on TV, a live TV, CNBC and Bloomberg. I was very nervous because it was live, no takes, nothing. But I was very, very excited as well that, wow, it's a great opportunity. And yeah, I think life has been good, and here I am with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You have mentored 150 speakers for TEDx. And according to you, what do you think is the one common mistake people make while preparing their speeches? And how can they avoid it?
So, I've been very, very fortunate that more than 150 people trusted me with with my work. They reached out to me to help them curate their talks, mentor their talks. And it has been an amazing journey because not only I curated their talks, in the process, I learned a lot. If I have to look back, I think more than learning from the talks that I have delivered myself, I have learned more by helping others get their talks right. And it has been a mixed bag from a reaction point of view. So some students, so I call them students, so some of them, students or speakers, whatever you call them, some of them were brilliant students. They completely surrendered themselves, saying that I'm all yours. Now you tell me, this is my script. Now you tell me, how do I go about it? And some were very, very difficult students. So let me first talk about the good students. One instance I remember, and I used to be very scared with some of the personalities. So, because I mentored and curated right from a Hindi film actress to Miss India finalist, to army generals, to the social change makers, educationists, entrepreneurs, homemakers, all kind of people I have curated. And especially when I'm dealing with Hindi film actress or army generals, so you always, as a curator, I always feel a little nervous, a little scared, should I or should I not, because they come with their own thought process. So I remember One of the army generals I had invited for TED Talk, and she submitted a script to me, and I quite liked the whole flow. And just about 5 days before the rehearsal, and she was supposed to come down to Kolkata, I gathered courage and I called and said, "Ma'am, can I suggest you something? And please throw it off if you don't like it." And she said, "No, no, why are you so nervous? I mean, just feel free." And I said, I want to flip your entire presentation. So what you're starting with should be at the end, and what you're ending with should be in the beginning. She's like, "That's quite a, weird kind of suggestion." And she said, "Okay, give me a few days, a couple of hours, let me think through and come back to you." And next day she came back to me and she said, "You know what? Actually, it makes a lot of sense." And she incorporated and she delivered the talk exactly the opposite way. And talk was very well received and she was very happy. And she actually came and told me that, "You know what? That actually worked." So there are these students who will surrender and will go by your, they trust you completely. Then there were few who were like very, very difficult. Now, why they are difficult? And I'll tell you the couple of mistakes that the difficult ones, or most of us do. So when you're telling your story is so close to your heart that you do not let go some part of it which is not required, which is not in sync with the theme of the event or the talk that you're expected to do. And imagine you have to deliver in 15, 20 minutes your entire life. And for you as a speaker, everything is important. And that's where I think role of somebody like a neutral person like me comes, who says, "Listen, you have to do this. You have to remove this." So that is the first biggest mistake that people do. Second mistake that I've seen people doing is, because it's their own story, they feel I don't have to write it. I know it by heart. I have lived this life. So चलता है मैंने क्यों आप तुम जबरदस्ती कर रहे हो लोग. Speakers have told me that, "Lokesh, you're forcing us. I'm not the kind of person who write my script. I come and say impromptu." And I'm like, because it's your story, all the more reason that you need to write it down. Because while delivering the talk, chances are very, very high that you'll get swayed away by your emotions and your talk will go everywhere but with the audience. So this is the second mistake that people do. Third is they don't practice. Because again, I know it, so I don't need to practice it. I've done it. I lived this life. So that is a big mistake that people do. And lastly, most of them feel that they are the hero of the story. Now, what I have learned or practice is that if I am telling my story, I am not the hero of the story. The story is the hero. मैं तो कैसे भी बाय डिफॉल्ट हीरो हूँ स्टोरी का. सो जैसे ही आप ये माइंडसेट शिफ्ट करोगे that story is the hero, then what happens is the best comes out of the story. So this is another mistake that I've seen, especially when you working with some celebrity, I'll not say celebrity speakers, but celebrity in their respective profiles. They don't agree with this. And so these are three, four mistakes that they do. And I must tell all the viewers that when you watch the talk of students who surrendered, or at least follow the process, and those who did not surrender, even a layman seeing both the talks can tell you the difference. So I always keep saying this, especially when I was working on the actress, and finally I had to, raise my director's hat. And I said, "Listen, when you shoot for the film or the serials, what happens? Who has the last word?" And she said, "Director." I said, "In this case, I am your director. Whether you like it or you don't like it, I am the director." So I think my advice to all the aspiring speakers is that follow the process. There is no substitute of process. Doesn't matter who you are, how big a personality you are, how good your story is. It just doesn't matter. You have to follow the process.
So I remember when I came to you just before my Pecha Kucha story and talk, and you told me, I asked you, like, what kind of a story can I write? My topic was legacy. And you said, write. And I'm like, why do I need to write? I have to speak about my father, I have to speak about my family, and what is there to write? It's like everyday thing for me. And you said, just write. And I started writing. From the first day of my script to what I delivered, I think I changed around 25 scripts, and that was within a week. And the last script I changed was the night before my talk, which was scary because I had learnt my script by heart. But with every script that was written, all those 25 scripts, so one, two, three, I saw that there was so much more that was coming out. And till my 24th script I was not getting goosebumps, so I knew there was not something that was going right. And I
Absolutely.
remember sharing every script with you, and you're like, see what else you can do. You never told me what was missing, you made me realize it myself because it was my story.
True.
And then the same thing, like, 24th script, and I'm like, no, this is not working, this is just a script. But I wanted that emotion to be out, but yet again not overwhelmed by the emotion, which you told
Right.
me you can shed a tear, not cry. And that's exactly what happened. So when I wrote the 25th script, I had goosebumps. I'm having goosebumps now speaking about
Yeah.
it. And I had goosebumps, and again my eyes got teary, but I did not cry. I think that was such a beautiful way to put it across, that you don't need to cry because the audience sitting there does not know what you're going through and will never understand them. The most important thing you have to do is connect with the audience.
Absolutely.
And I think you gave such a wonderful tip, and
Did you enjoy that entire process and did it
I
help you in
did.
future talks?
I'm telling you, I think that helped me not in my future talks, but it helped me in, becoming a better coach. That helped me give my students a better perspective of what they should be doing. Because, like you just said, my students, they said, why do we need to write? We are ready. If I tell them, I'm giving you 10 minutes to write, they tell me, we are ready in 5 seconds, because they feel they know it all.
They know it all.
And I think they do not understand that just knowing it all does not help.
Absolutely. See, the challenge is when you know it all, you don't want to leave anything. Also, I must tell you that, some of the, very good performers, stage performers, when they came for public speaking without preparation, I have seen them crying in the middle of the night, telling me, Lokesh, I don't think I'll be able to do this.
Really? I think I cried too.
Yeah, I mean, no, because they did not prepare at all
Yeah,
and they thought they'll be able to do it. On the rehearsal day, when they stood on the platform, they started crying and they said, I don't think I can do this. And there were also cases where I told few of them on the eve of the TED talk that, listen, if you're not going to do rehearsals tonight, I think tomorrow you'll not be able to speak and I'm not going to give you a chance. So we are removing you from the speakers list. And you cannot imagine the kind of drama at 11, 11:30, 12 in the night that happened when you tell a speaker who's come all the way from Bombay
yeah,
to Kolkata and you say, you know what, you're not speaking tomorrow.
yeah.
So sometimes, as a coach, as a curator, you have to first bite the bullet yourself, gather the courage, because end of the day, it's your show.
Absolutely.
And you have to make the other person bite the bullet too and make them realize that, listen, I have 12 speakers here or 14 speakers here. You have an image to maintain. Imagine if you don't look good there while delivering, what will people think about it? And I think that really, peps them up and say, oh, yes, I have a name to work for. But there's no replacement for process for sure.
And I think it's such a beautiful process. Why would you not go through the process? It's definitely tedious. It's definitely at times very, very tedious. But it's a beautiful process.
Absolutely. And see, we don't realize this, and I'm sure you would have lived this. When you're doing this again and again and again, you discover so many layers of your own personal life, personal
Absolutely.
journey, and all that. And some of the layers you'll speak in a talk, some layers you'll speak in some other talk, but at least now you have visited those chapters which probably were somewhere hidden, logged. You never opened them up, and because you did again and again and again, now you have kind of probably 25 chapters, of your different aspects of your life.
And the best chapters. Because, like I said, every script was improving. Every script took me back years. Like when I was speaking about my father, maybe I was just speaking from my college days. But with every script, I went back to my childhood. So the layers you're talking about, truly, truly, it just brings out the best. And I
Absolutely.
think to all the viewers, this is a very, very good tip, a wonderful tip which everyone should follow is
Right.
writing, and writing over and over again when practicing.
Right.
So I remember just before Pecha Kucha, I came and told you, what if I forget the script? And you remember what you told me? I would like you to share that with the viewers.
So, a lot of times when you're preparing for a script, a lot of speakers feel, what if I forget the line? And I always tell them that, tell me who else knows about those lines.
Yeah.
Either you know it or I, as your coach or curator, knows it, the audience doesn't know it. Now, because you have practiced it so many times, you have internalized it. So even if you miss a line, it's okay. you will yourself not realize that moment.
Yeah.
You will realize later, अरे मैंने ये भी
Later.
छोड़ दिया, वो भी छोड़ दिया. बट उस समय तो आप फ्लो में हो, तो आपको पता ही नहीं लगेगा.
And I remember you telling me something very wonderful just before I was going on the stage, and I was so nervous, and my hands were sweating, and I told you that what if I forget, I go blank, seeing so many people in the middle, if I go blank. And you said even that is a connection, because start your story again, because it's your story, your story. Nobody else, like you said, the lines people will not know, but even your story, no one knows, only you know. So even
True.
if you go blank, it's okay. Take those few seconds and start again.
In fact, I must share this with you. You know, a lot of us, when we go on stage, people have this myth that I should look the best, I should look perfect on stage, which means I should not be vulnerable. I should not show my emotions. People should see me a strong person on stage and all that stuff. So I remember I was curating Asmita, the Inspiring Stories by Army Wives. And one of the Jaman wives, on the rehearsal day, on the eve of the event, she did a rehearsal, and when she delivered her talk, she was in tears. And we all were in tears. Obviously, her story was very moving. And once the rehearsal got over, I went to hug her and I said, this is brilliant. Her name is Farida. And she said, sir, I'm very sorry कि मैं रोई हूँ. कल I will make sure that I don't cry on stage. And I'm like, I'll slap you right now.
Yeah.
I said, see, you're not faking those emotions. They came very naturally. So if they're coming tomorrow, it's okay to be vulnerable, and let me guarantee you, you'll get a standing ovation. And I must share with you, out of the 8 speakers, she was the only one who got standing ovation. So, please don't have this myth or perception that you need to appear strong on stage. When you watch a film, there are scenes where you want your hero to be emotive. Yeah. The actor has to show emotions, otherwise, you'll not get connected. It'll look very plastic. So, I think it's okay when you feel vulnerable, you go blank on stage, nothing wrong in it, because end of the day, we are humans. And as long as you think you are a human and the audience also is human, I think it's okay to be vulnerable. In fact, that can be your scoring point. But don't try and fake it, because when you're faking it, you have to be a very good actor then probably public speaking is not the place. You should go and join films. But otherwise, I think it's absolutely perfect to be vulnerable and show your emotions. Nothing wrong in it.
Yeah, I've been there. I truly, truly believe that the audience also connects to you better when you are vulnerable, because they're not dealing with someone just standing there and giving a talk. Nobody wants, like
Absolutely.
you always say,
Absolutely.
nobody wants sermons today.
Absolutely.
There's too much sermons and too much knowledge on the internet. They
Right.
want some emotion, human connect.
Absolutely.
And I think speeches are the best way that
I
you
I
can
I
make
fully agree with you.
connections.
Absolutely.
So many people might be coming to you, like me, who came to you and said that I want to deliver a TED talk. And I'm sure there are many people who come to you like that, who want to give a TED talk. So, what is the process like? How do you know the person is ready, not ready?
So, TED is something that everybody wants to speak. I mean, in last 5 years, 2019, I got the license for TEDx Charangi, and in last 5 years, so many people have reached out to me saying that, they want to be a TED speaker. But most of them also said at the same time that I don't think I'm ready.
Oh, they admit that.
They say that, I don't think I'm ready, or I don't think my story is good enough, or I belong to that place yet. And, more than me as a licensee or a curator to find out whether you're ready or not, it's you who has to decide whether you are ready or not. Because still you yourself from within are not ready. If you don't own your story, if you don't own what you're going to speak, believe you me, however well you talk to me, it will not cut eyes with me. So I think this is where a lot of people, they want to be a TEDx speaker, but they're not sure if they can be. So I think you need to remove that, doubt from your head. Own your story. Everybody's story is important. There is no such good story or bad story. I think every story, every individual has a story. Now, do you have the story ready-made? Of course not. Like when I was invited for my TED talk, and I was like, I really struggled to write because I had nobody to help me that time. The licensee also said, sir, whatever you want to speak, this is the theme of the TED talk. And I was like, what do I write? Because my story is absolutely a common story. अगर हिंदुस्तान में 140 करोड़ लोग हैं तो आई एम श्योर 130 करोड़ लोगों की वही सेम कहानी जो मेरी है. तो मतलब there's nothing special about this story. This was my initial reaction that I don't know, पंगा तो ले लिया अभी कि ठीक है, very excited to be a speaker, but now what? I think when I sat down and started to rewind right from my childhood to the date of delivery, I started to figure out कि, yes, I think this looks nice, this looks inspiring, probably this will add some humor and so on and so forth. So I think I was lucky that I got an invite. I never applied for it. And then I started to work on my story. But any aspiring speaker, I said, own your story and start working on it. Don't wait for a TED invite. Start working on it, because when you start working on it, a time will come when you're ready, and universe will also feel that, oh, see, everybody is not lucky like me that I got an invite.
Yeah.
So universe also need to see that you are ready now. So one is you get ready from within. Second, the universe sees you being ready, that you're putting effort. Believe you me, you'll get your chance to speak at a prestigious platform like TEDx.
Oh, that's such a valuable insight. And I think, when I talk to people and they all feel that TEDx is a platform, like an esteemed platform, which it is. And everybody wants to be a TEDx speaker, but there are few who come to me and ask me, I don't want to be a TEDx speaker. I don't think I belong there. But I still want to understand why is public speaking important. So I don't know, like, what is it that they don't understand, or what is it that I need to tell them? Why is public speaking important if you don't want to be a TEDx speaker? Is a question that I get asked often. Like, I don't want to go on the stage and be a public speaker, but still, I try to convince them that communication, public speaking is important. What's your take on that?
So see, first of all, public speaking does not mean only TEDx. TEDx is just one of the platforms. Today, when you look at our current world has changed a lot. Communication has become very, very important, and we have all kinds of communication today. Today, when you're working, whether you're working in a company or you are running your own business or you launch your own business idea, you're an entrepreneur, you will have to learn public speaking. Now, public speaking does not mean standing on stage and delivering a talk. That is a professional speaker, people like me who do for a living. But public speaking is where you will be able to communicate with anybody who is not you,
Yeah.
where you can communicate to a third person. It can be your person who is funding your business, it can be your shareholder, it can be your team, it even can be a family function, you know. So I think it's very, very important to understand that public speaking is here to stay, and public speaking is all about communication. We give it a name like public speaking, but
Yeah.
I think to me, and as you rightly said, it's more important how do you communicate. Now, a communication is complete only when you connect with the
Connect
people.
with it.
Now, whether you speak to your child or you speak to your colleague or anybody else, if you cannot connect, I think there is a challenge. So people need to understand that the starting step is you communicate to connect, to convey what you want to convey. And once that connection happens, I think public speaking is a stage which comes much later, because I think most of us confuse ourselves when we talk about public speaking, that it is only about standing on a stage and delivering a talk in front of
Yeah,
hundreds of
many do. In
people,
fact, many
or
do.
it is only TEDx and all that. It
Yeah.
is not so. Public speaking is a way of life now. You have to learn to communicate, to convey and connect. That's what I feel.
As a storyteller yourself, if you could give us three essential tips in a nutshell to be a better speaker, what would they be?
So, first of all, I personally believe that there is nothing called a good speaker or a bad speaker. Like a medicine, when you look at medicine, medicine can be good for somebody, may not be good for somebody else. That does not make the medicine bad. Similarly, I personally feel that there's nothing called good speaker and bad speaker. If a speaker can connect, convey, and engage with the audience, and it is in align with what is expected to deliver, I think that is the kind of speaker all of us want. Now, what are those three, four essential tips that will make you a speaker that people want to
Yeah.
listen, people want to meet? I think the first and most important thing is that something that today's generation don't practice, don't follow, is writing your script. Once you know what is the subject, you need to write, and then once you write, read it multiple times till you reach a point where you feel that, yes, like you said, your experience of Pecha Kucha, we started feeling the goosebumps, you
Yeah.
started to feel the script. Now, once you do this, you'll be able to internalize this script. So I remember yesterday I was watching an interview of the legendary actor Nana Patekar sir for his forthcoming film Vanvas, and he said that once he get the script, see, an actor gets a script, right? He writes that script in his own handwriting on a piece of paper, and he said I write it multiple times till I start to feel the script. Even now, I mean, imagine he's been acting for last I don't know how many decades. He's one of the best actors that we have, and even till date he does that. So first is write your script till you are absolutely sure that it's touching your heart and this is what you want to convey. The second is that you need to practice the script. Now, most of us, because it's our own story, our own subject that we think we are a master of this subject, we tend not to practice. We practice 3, 4 times or we read 3, 4 times and we say, I'm ready to speak. Again, quoting from that interview that the reverse aging young actor Anil Kapoor was interviewing Nana Patekar sir for the same film Vanvas. And he asked Nana that, Nana, tell me, what is your craft that it looks so easy on screen? And he said, अनिल यार क्या है ना, मैं कम से कम 20-25 बार उसको लिखता और पढ़ता हूँ. उसके बाद वो ऐसे जहन में उतर जाती कि 20 साल बाद भी तुम बोलोगे तो मैं वो बोल सकता हूँ. So there is no substitute for practice. And we do not. Most of the speakers, performers, they practice at least about 25-30 times. When I look at myself, even for a 2-minute talk, I will first write, and once I am okay with the script, I at least practice 20 to 25 times. Even for a 2-minute talk. So when you are delivering a keynote talk, which is 2 minutes or 10, 15, 20 minutes, I think it's very, very important to practice. And when you look at sports people, my favorite examples always, if you want to become a Sachin or a Virat, they did not become Sachin or Virat just because they were great cricketers. They were. But their work ethics, even today, they will practice for an hour. I mean, Virat Kohli is a legend. He need not practice so much, but he practice because he knows he is what he is because of the practice. So that's the second tip that I want to give, that do not ignore the power of practice. आप तब तक practice करें till you subconsciously in your sleep also are narrating that script. Like it happens with me, in my sleep, if I have a talk next day, in my sleep the previous night, I am actually delivering that talk subconsciously. Wherever I am, that script is running in my head. It becomes a part of you. It becomes part of you. So that's very, very important. Third is, it's great to be inspired by people that you look up to, speakers that you look up to, and you want to be like them. Great. Take inspiration from there, take clues from there, but have your own style. You got to be yourself. Many a times in trying to copy others, we are neither here nor there, and we make a khichdi of it. So if I have to really sum up the three essential tips, I think one is you must write your script till you feel wow about it. Second is you need to practice, 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 practice till subconsciously you could narrate the whole script in your sleep. And third, you got to be yourself. There is no substitute to who you are. So don't try to be anybody else. Take inspiration, but be yourself. That's very, very important because आज की जो पब्लिक है ना उसको सब दिखता है. If you try to be somebody else, they could see it, and when they see it, they will ignore you. They want to see you, who you are on the stage. So these are the three tips I think that comes to the top of my mind.
So, 3 tips: writing the script, practicing, and being authentic. I think
Absolutely.
that's what makes you a good speaker.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure by coming from you, it is genuine because you have mentored so many speakers, and there could have been more tips, but I think these three
Absolutely
takes
top
good
of the
care
list.
of you.
Yeah,
Top of the
absolutely.
list. Okay, great. So your mantra is powerful. If you can tell a story, you can influence, you can change lives. Can you tell us about a moment or a story in your life that you shared and that changed somebody else's life or had a significant impact on someone?
So I'm sure all our viewers and you, there are enough stories around us that has inspired us right from our childhood till where we are today. Stories have that power, and stories are something that we remember. When I look at my journey, two things that really come to my mind. One is when I was narrating a story, when I was conducting a session that inspired somebody, I'll share. And second is how somebody else whom I curated, her story inspired others. So Last month I did a session in a top end hotel to the hoteliers. I spoke about financial wellness.
Okay.
Now, financial wellness is a very boring, dry subject, and for hoteliers, so 100% very
That is
boring and
correct.
dry, right? So I delivered this session, and it was very engaging. And I love humor. For me, however serious the topic is, if there is no humor to it, I don't think people will like it. I mean, that's
Yeah.
my thought, and I always add humor to it. So a session went off very well, and suddenly non-finance guys loved it, and they said at the end of the session that not only it was informative, it was very entertaining as well. After a month of the talk, I called the learning and development head to check about what is the feedback and do you need any more sessions, any help, and all that. And he told me something, and my mouth was opened for a few seconds on the phone. He said, Lokesh, I've quit my job. I'm like, why? And he's like, the discussion that I had with you before the session over coffee, and after attending your session, I felt that this is what I also want to do. Storytelling, public speaking is what I also want to do. And
Oh
I
my
can't
God, it's
expand that
amazing.
field in a job because in a job I have limited to the hotel
Yeah.
industry, but I want to expand further. And he told me that it happened because of your session. Now, I wish him luck. It's not an easy journey.
But
But yeah, I mean, it's very flattering that somebody attended your session and he quit his job to pursue his passion of storytelling. So that's very, very flattering to be very honest. I think one of the most impactful talks I must say that I gave that made somebody quit
I'm
his
not sure
job
the
and pursue
company
their
feels it
passion.
was impactful.
The company is okay about it for the reason that the guy is moving out to pursue his passion and not joining the
Yes.
competition. The second is I remember I was curating this lady from Ranchi for a talk in Delhi. Her name is Jaya Prabha Mahato. Now imagine her husband martyred when she was all of 23 with two kids on the line of duty. And when I heard her story, I obviously had goosebumps. And so her story, I selected her story to perform in front of the President of India in Delhi. And I was also present there. And when she narrated that story, there were 800 people in the room, and President of India and the First Lady of the Army and the best of the dignitaries. Everybody was moved. Everybody had tears in eyes with a story that how she did not give up. At 23 with two kids, husband martyred. She today is a very well respected teacher. She comes from a very small background, a small village, no education. Now she's a very successful teacher. Her children are pursuing post graduation. One of them is planning to join the Indian Army, and so on and so forth. So her story moved people a lot. And in the break, lot of Jawan's wife, they came to her and they said, you know what, this is so inspiring and हम भी चाहते हैं कि हम हमारी जिंदगी के साथ कुछ ऐसा ही करें. Will not give up. And lot of people, lot of Jawans wife, they came and said, we also want to share our story if it can help others. And you have to be there to see, to believe or experience the kind of impact her story had. So I personally feel that story is something that people connect with. And stories hai kya? I think people should understand what is a story. I personally believe that stories are nothing but your life lesson and experiences. Now, when you tell them in a certain way, they are called stories. And once you start putting your life experiences and lessons in a certain way that inspires people, I think, wow, great. It's a great feeling to have.
You've really come a long way, I think. And,
Yeah.
when you're talking about army wives and their stories, and those stories that even if we hear a patriotic song, we have tears in eyes. I can't even imagine. And it's so nice that, you get to do this and get inspired yourself also, and help others who can share their stories and deliver and make a change. That's truly, truly, oh my God, I have goosebumps right
So
now,
it's
even
very
talking
fulfilling.
about
It's
it.
very fulfilling, and believe you me when I say that I have kind of did a trade off between money and happiness.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no price for this. Is priceless. This experience
It
that I
is.
go
It is
through.
priceless.
Uh, I've been privileged to listen to stories of people from all walks of life, including the Indian Army wives. At times, they make me feel, what am I doing? What am I complaining about? Those stories have so much of impact on me. And I must tell you this before we move to the next question, that over last 7 8 years when I got into this profession, listening to other people's stories, interacting with other people, I can guarantee that I'm a much better human being than what I was 8 10 years back. That's the kind of influence these stories, these interactions with humans have happened, that I personally feel that I've evolved as a human, and I'm a far better human being than what I was 8, 10 years back.
I can truly understand because when I mentor my students and they come up with their own journeys and their own stories, sometimes you just wonder, what
Yeah,
are you thinking? And
true,
people are
absolutely,
dealing with so many battles, and
absolutely,
it's amazing.
absolutely.
So I'm sure why the person left the job and pursued his passion is because he saw what it entails.
Yeah.
Okay, so looking at you, nobody can say he can never be. Can anyone say he can never be nervous? No. But has ever in your life, have you ever delivered a talk or a talk that has challenged you?
So I think being nervous is normal, as I said, and little bit of nervousness is important. Because क्या होता है when you're overconfident about anything, chances are that आप तैयारी नहीं करोगे और वो दिखेगा आपको स्टेज पे. So मुझे लगता है कि थोड़ी बहुत nervousness तो बहुत जरूरी है because it brings the best out of you. If you look at, again, I'm going back to cricket, being the favorite sport of our country, you watch any of the cricketers, whether it's Sachin, Virat, anybody, you'll find that first 5 minutes, they are also very edgy on the crease. And that is nothing but nervousness of a start. So it is absolutely normal. And a lot of people, when I say this, that I get nervous, even now when I was coming, I was nervous. People don't believe it. But believe you me, it's a very natural trait. First 30, 60 seconds, as I'm walking, I'm very, very nervous. Very, very nervous. I think my biggest challenge was when I delivered my first TED talk. I was really, really challenged because that name TEDx kind of overwhelmed me, and I was very, very nervous, very, very scared. Nobody was there to guide me, coach me, and I've never spoken on a platform like that. So I think that was one of the most challenging talks that I had. There was another very challenging talk I did, and but that came out to be beautifully accepted by people. So I remember when I hosted TEDx Charangi women in Calcutta, and I decided to wear a sari and go on stage.
Oh, I've seen
Now,
that. It's
the
amazing.
thought of wearing a sari
Yeah.
and going on stage was very, very challenging. My colleagues felt that ऐसे ही बोल रहा है ये करेगा नहीं, and I was somewhere, I was very, very determined from inside that I need to make a statement because this is about TED women, and I need to make a statement about how important it
Yeah.
is and how difficult it is to carry a sari. And I wore that. I was not sure how people will accept it, not accept it, but I'm very, very fortunate that everybody sitting in that room, there were three generals from the army in that room. Everybody accepted it with very open heart, open arms. And in the break, they came and told me, "You are very, very brave."
Yes.
So, as they say, all well that ends well. And when I posted that on social media, till date, no other post of mine have got so many comments or views as that post has been. So sometimes I think as a speaker we need to challenge ourselves,
Yes.
and but if you work towards it, chances are that that challenge will convert into a beautiful delivery, and it'll create new benchmarks. After that talk in Sari or the TED talk, I feel that I think I can deal with challenges. I'm far more comfortable now. I have lost a lot of inhibitions because of these two moments. So every talk is a challenging talk because, and especially when you are paid,
Yeah.
I take a lot of pressure when I'm being paid for a talk because somebody's trusting you with their money, with their time, with their resources, and you need to do a good job, right? So every talk is a challenging. But if I have to talk about two top of my list, I think they're for my first TEDx talk and delivering or opening an event wearing a sari. I think they were like my top of the charts.
So I was there for one of it, and I'm truly privileged to be a part of it and see it. And it was truly brave for you to wear that sari,
Absolutely.
go on stage without thinking what the world is thinking, without.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what the courage that people show, brings a connect immediately.
Right.
Thank you, Lokesh. Thank you so much. It was such an interesting session. And I'm sure our viewers have taken a lot of takeaways from you for storytelling, for public speaking, how storytelling is an essential part of public speaking. And public speaking just does not mean standing on stage, it just means communicating in an everyday life with your partner, with your employees, with your children. I think everything is communication.
Absolutely.
So anything that you would want to end with?
No, I just want to tell people that we have enough stories around us. It's time to recognize them. It's time to talk about them. It's time to integrate them in your daily conversation. And you'll realize that over a period of time, it becomes such an important part of your life and your communication will become far better. Yes, remember, बचपन में माँ कहती थी कहानी मत सुनाओ मुझे. So I'm not talking about those kind of stories. जहाँ पे आप झूठ बोल के कहानियां बनाते थे. Not at all. I'm talking about authentic personal stories. And all of you, if you want to really, hone your skills, I think you must reach out to Suman.
Thank
All
you
the
so
best for your
much.
forthcoming workshop on storytelling
Thank you.
and public speaking. And yeah, I wish you luck and I wish all our viewers best wishes. And I hope to see lot many people coming out in public speaking. Everybody has a story. You just need to find a way to tell the world.
Thank you so much, Lokesh. Thank you so much. And I hope you enjoyed the podcast as much
Oh,
as I did.
absolutely.
It was truly, truly, I don't want to use the word privilege for you, but it was truly a privilege and honor for me to have you
No,
here.
the feeling
Thank you
is
so
absolutely
much.
mutual. And thank you so
Thank you.
much for
Thank you so
inviting me.
much.
It was really wonderful.
Thank you.